Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. Coming up here on today's show, some trade rumors around Josh Jacobs, and then the latest draft news around Hendon Hooker and some other top 30 visits. If you don't already know, man, you got to get started with our sponsor, Manscaped. Head on over to manscaped.com. Use code Raiders for 20% off and free shipping on the best male grooming products out there. On today's show, we got Josh Jacobs trade rumors, Hendon Hooker visit, top 30 visits. I got all of the players that the Raiders have officially met with or are going to be meeting with. So the reason why I'm doing this show today, the biggest reason, there's been a lot of speculation around Jacobs. You know, I always say, when there's smoke, there's fire. And I really hope that there was no fire around our star running back, number 28. CBS released an article today, and it was titled 2023 NFL Draft Trade Candidates, 14 big-name veterans who could be moved. The player that they listed for the Raiders was the Rushing King. Here's exactly what CBS had to say. Technically, he locked in for 2023 under the franchise tag, but that doesn't mean the Raiders wouldn't field or solicit interest in the event a future long-term deal is unlikely. Coach Josh McDaniels, remember, hails from the Patriots system that deploys multiple backs, even if he did lean heavily on Jacobs in 2022. And the veteran teased dissatisfaction with the current regime after Darren Waller's exit this offseason. Moving the 25-year-old workhorse would instantly save Vegas $10 million. Now, one of the biggest question marks around the Raiders with Jacobs entering the 2022 season is they declined his fifth-year option. Historically, that's right, this regime has not paid running backs, and you go back and you look at a lot of teams that have paid running backs after their first few seasons, it usually doesn't come into fruition. He is only 25 years old. He's an incredibly talented back. Nobody's ever going to dispute that. However, though, the question remains out there is, if the Raiders do not plan on extending Jacobs, what does that mean? What if he wants the extension? What if he's like, give me an extension or I'm out? Jacobs literally said, if you're going to franchise tag me, you better build this team up around me. How many people out there think that the Raiders have built this team star-studded around Jacobs? The offense might have gotten better, but has the defense? That question still remains to be seen. In terms of some Josh Jacobs trade destinations, according to CBS, they have the Buffalo Bills, which I think is a team that makes sense. If the Raiders and Bills make a trade, I actually think Ed Oliver is involved in that. If the Arizona Cardinals, imagine if Jacobs is involved in the trade that gets you up to 3. Then you don't have to give up nearly the amount of picks. What if you swap 3, 7, Josh Jacobs, and then you threw in a third-round pick? Would that be more enticing? The Seattle Seahawks, another team that apparently has shown some interest in Jacobs. So what I always do on this show is I give you my opinion with different rumors out there. And we use the just win baby heads. We used to use the Chucky heads. So 0 means that this rumor never going to happen. So I want to know from all y'all tuned in right now, how many just win babies on the Raiders trading away Josh Jacobs? If it's 1, it's a small shred of truth, 25% chance of happening. 2 just win babies, 50%, people are talking. 3 just win babies, it's pretty likely, 75% chance. 4 just win babies, believe it, baby, it's going to happen. So I want to know, this is going to be the pinned comment on today's show, so this is the most important question that I need all of y'all to answer. How many just win babies on the Raiders trading away your star running back, Josh Jacobs? My answer is 1 just win baby. Is it impossible? No, absolutely not. The NFL has showed me, the Raiders have shown me, that literally anything is possible. But do I anticipate that the Raiders want Jacobs this season? Of course I do. Just because CBS linked them to a draft day trade, I get it. I make videos, I make articles. It's a name that's popping up. There is a report out there that Jacobs might not sign his franchise tender, and when the Raiders begin their offseason program, therefore he won't be there. Cool. The most important date that you need to look for Raider fans for Jacobs and his franchise tag is technically a date that the NFL hasn't even released yet, but it's going to be somewhere between July 15th, July 16th, July 17th, and if he doesn't sign his franchise tag by then, that means he's probably going to be sitting out. That's going to be a bigger issue. We know Jacobs wants a contract extension, as he should. Coming off career year, over 2,000 total yards, and for a lot of running backs, the chance for you to cash in, get that big-time payday, really probably only comes once in a career. So Jacobs is looking at this season like, all right, man, I want to get that money. McDaniels this offseason also said that he wants Jacobs to be a part of the long-term plan. The problem with that is, I don't know how many people believe what comes out of McDaniels' mouth, right? Because where that quote McDaniels said of he wants Jacobs around for the long term, this offseason, McDaniels also said that Darren Waller is going to be a big part of their team. What I know from this regime is this: if you're not going to buy in, they're not afraid to move on from you. So if Jacobs wants to buy in and he wants to be a Raider, he's going to be a Raider. That might mean playing under the franchise tag. If he doesn't want to play under the franchise tag, and that might result and ultimately end up being a trade. This is my thing, though. If the Raiders want to sell me on Jimmy Garoppolo, if they want to sell me on the idea of getting a young running back, what's the best friend for a young running back? Having a star-studded guy that you could be able to hand the ball to, right? If you have a young quarterback, whether that be a Hendon Hooker, an Anthony Richardson, a Will Levis, a C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, hell, if you want to even take a quarterback in next year's draft, you better have a good running game. So for me, I personally would give Jacobs a 3-year extension and backload the shit out of it. What do I mean by that? First, before I show you the exact contract breakdown that I would give Jacobs, I want you to have the understanding of, right now, here are the highest paid running backs per year, okay? This isn't what they make this season. It is in the case for Pollard, Barkley, and Jacobs because they're on the franchise tag. This is how much money these running backs signed their contracts per year when the deal ultimately went down. So if I'm Jacobs, if I'm the Raiders, I'm trying to get this deal done before Saquon Barkley and the New York Giants. So this would be the contract extension I would offer Jacobs. It's a 3-year total at $38.4 million. So the first year is at $8 million. So if you're the Raiders, you save about $2 million. You save a little bit of money. Cool. All great. Then in 2024 and 2025, it's 15.2. The reason why I constructed the contract this way, it's actually the way the Raiders have done a lot of their deals this offseason. If you look at the Jacoby Myers deal, 3 years, $33 million, 20% of his contract was here. Then they backloaded it. If I'm the Raiders, I guarantee him 2023, because if you franchise tag him, it's guaranteed anyway. I'm also going to guarantee Jacobs 2024. However, I am a believer that this regime was given 2023 and 2024. So if he wants to make 15.2, he's got to earn it. That part of that deal is not going to be guaranteed if I was the one offering Jacobs his contract extension. Coming up next here on the Raiders Report, Hendon Hooker in Vegas. I mean, that title alone sells it, right? Hooker in Las Vegas, and if you plan on meeting up with a hooker in Las Vegas, I think you should go check out Manscaped. Head on over at manscaped.com, 20% off and free shipping on the best male grooming products out there. I know a lot of people a lot of times get afraid of tax season. I don't know about you. When tax season rolls around for me, I like it. I go on TurboTax, not a sponsor, and I always get a little bit of money back. I am also a big believer in spending money that I think is going to be a healthy and good investment. I promise you this, to all the guys out there watching, hell, even for the women out there. Savannah, you want to get married to Patrick B? Make sure that he's shaved below the belt because I don't want you to get down there and you're rocking with some insane George W. So because Manscaped has the best male grooming products out there, the Lawnmower 4.0, the ball deodorant. I'll tell you what, you probably should have put some ball deodorant on your butthole the other day. But no matter what, if you get down there, you need to be smelling great. They got the Weed Whacker for all the crappy nose hairs. We have an unbelievable deal going on right now with Manscaped at manscaped.com. Use promo code Raiders. We're going to make it available for you guys in the comments and in the description. Personally, I recommend the Performance Package. Patrick B., it's all love, my guy. But seriously, I recommend products that you guys should go out and try. Manscaped's been a loyal sponsor here on the Raiders Report for a very long time. Why? Their products worked. And they're also, I'm not going to lie, they're designed to help y'all out. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Let's get it happen. Let's talk about Hendon Hooker here on the Raiders Report. He is visiting with the Silver and Black, and this is going to be an official top 30 visit. It's going to be on Friday. The Raiders have met with all of the top quarterbacks, but I did a show 2 months ago, and I told y'all I was given information by a source that I trust very much so that said, if he was willing to bet on which quarterback would be the most likely that the Raiders draft, it's Hendon Hooker. Why? Because when healthy, if he would have been healthy, if he didn't tear his ACL, he probably would go in the first round. Because of that, though, the Raiders could potentially be looking at a QB at pick number 38. So the visit, it does mean something. If you're looking at other top 30 visits for the Raiders on the offensive side of the football, these are the names that are official at the time that I am filming right now. C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, Hendon Hooker, Aiden O'Connell, and then Jalen Duncan are the 7 offensive players that the Raiders have officially met with or will meet with for their top 30 visits so far. On the defensive side of the football, a lot of cornerbacks, which realistically shouldn't surprise many people because the Raiders need a lot of help in the secondary. When you look at Kelly Ringo, that's a second-round prospect. Joey Porter Jr., that's a first-round prospect. Carrington Valentine, to me, he's probably more of a day 3 guy, though there's some people that have him viewed a little bit higher. Julius Brents, that's a day 2 prospect. Deonta Banks, he's round 1, round 2. Tyreek Stevenson from Miami, he's a day 2 guy, round 2, round 3. They met with Jalen Carter on Wednesday. Brian Branch, the top safety. Jamie Robinson, a do-it-all safety. Jason Taylor II, safety from Oklahoma State. Tyree Wilson, one of the best edge rushers. Dayon Henley, he's a day 2 linebacker. If you can get him in day 3, you love it. Jack Campbell, 13 defensive players so far that the Raiders have met with. So, if you're doing your math at home with me, 30 visits, 20 are locked and loaded. When it comes to Hooker, though, I do think that he would be able to execute the Josh McDaniels system. I really believe it. From people who I know that know Hooker, extremely intelligent quarterback. He's going to get in there and he's going to do the work. The only reason why people are scared of him, the only reason why I'm scared of him is he's almost 26 years old and he's got the ACL injury. However, when you look at what the deal is with Jimmy Garoppolo, you know that the quarterback that they bring in this season probably isn't going to play regardless unless it's Bryce Young, unless it's C.J. Stroud. After that, they're going to sit. And if Hendon Hooker has a year to learn with Brian Hoyer, with Josh McDaniels, Jimmy Garoppolo, I actually like that idea if you're able to get him at a cheaper price. Lance Zierlein, one of the best in the biz on his draft analysis on the Tennessee quarterback, said, Hooker's age and ACL tear will be starting points for many draft conversations, but the most important question to be answered is whether he can thrive outside of the Tennessee offense. Hooker was frequently a half-field reader, which means he could lean on spacing, speed, and or route combinations to make life easier. He's more accurate outside the numbers than between the hashes, and his deep ball placement was much more uneven than expected. However, Hooker plays with excellent poise and footwork as a pocket passer. He will make quarterback coaches and play callers happy with his adherence to keeping plays on schedule. He is still showing signs of improvement and growth at the position, and his ability to hurt teams with his legs creates opportunities to help his offense outside of what he does in the pocket. His recovery from the ACL tear will require monitoring, but he has the talent to become a starter in a timing-based spread offense. So when I look at all of that, I see a quarterback that I hear timing offense. That's the most important thing in a Josh McDaniels style of offense, that he's going to be able to get the play and he's going to be able to execute the play. That's what the analysis is on Hooker, and honestly, that's what I see on tape as well. He's a good player. He had a chance to win the Heisman, and it's really, really unfortunate that he tore his ACL because before that Alabama game, he was the front runner in my book to win the Heisman. He brought Tennessee football back. He is a great leader. He's up there in age, and that's probably the biggest knock on him, the ACL as well. But to me, Josh McDaniels needs somebody that is able to execute the offense, that is a good pocket passer, that has the ability when he gets the play, he's going to be able to do it. And that's what Hooker's ability is. So if you like that idea, then you probably like going out and getting Hendon Hooker. My question to you is this. When you look at the Raiders draft picks, there's no chance in hell I want him at 7. No chance in hell I would even want him in the first round. But if he's on the board at pick 38, he's not falling to pick 70. If he does, I'll eat crow on that one. Raiders have pick 70. Would you want to draft Hendon Hooker in the second round at pick 38? Give me a yes or give me a no. My answer is I'm actually good if the Raiders pass on Hooker. I talked Hendon up, and I think he is a good player. However, to me, if the Raiders are unable to get a Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud, I'd rather you wait. The Las Vegas Raiders have so many holes on the defensive side of the football that if you can go and get a late-round quarterback, maybe it's a Jake Haener, maybe it's Jug just said DTR. I don't think he fits the McDaniels scheme, but I like him as a prospect. If you can go out and get an Aiden O'Connell, a quarterback that you can get in the 5th round, because you got 3 5th-round picks, 141, 144, and then 171 or 174, one of those. Like, that's where I would invest on a quarterback, because what I don't want the Raiders to do is you take a quarterback so high in the draft that it almost cripples you for in 2024 that if you take Hendon Hooker in round 2, I'm worried then that McDaniels or Ziegler would be like, well, we're not going to take a Caleb Williams. We're not going to take a Drake May. We're not going to take a quarterback in a class that's a lot better for next season. If Hooker somehow falls to you in round 3, I'm a value man. I'm going to take that deal. But at pick 38, this team has too many holes on the defensive side of the football to take a quarterback at pick 38. That's just my 2 cents. Before I leave you all today, if anybody wants to hang out with Jeremy, Chugs, and I, you can hook up with us. That sounds weird. You can meet us April 15th, Saturday, at this address. We're going to have some beer bongs. We're going to have some boots. We're going to talk some Raiders. I actually was just talking to Graphic Raider earlier this morning, and I said, you still hanging out with us? He said, yeah, I got you guys. So Graph's going to be pulling up as well. I just want to be able to hang out, have a good time. I can't wait for this weekend. I've been anxiously waiting. So there's the date. There's the address. Make sure you show up if you live near the Dallas area. And if you haven't subscribed yet, take a second. Hit that big old red button underneath this video that says subscribe. Make sure you're tuning in because we're doing live shows Tuesday, Thursday, which is our challenge day, and shout out the Tri-Van next week on our live Tuesday show. For those of you that are missing this live show, it's Jeremy and I have to eat 500 grams of broccoli. We tried to do some other stuff for 420. Boston said no, so I felt broccoli was close enough. That's the reason to subscribe. Raiders news, Raiders rumors, also having a good time. Cheers to all of y'all, and enjoy your Thursday.